Hey everybody, it's 12 o'clock for our first Zoom here. I'm going to be teaching a couple of fun tools, but I'm going to wait and see if anybody else joins us, so we may edit this part out, but we'll see. Being a man of my word, at exactly 12 o'clock, I like to get started. Time is one of those things that is important to some people and not to others, and you know what? That's okay. We have to honor each other and our own uniqueness. I was talking with a colleague this morning about that very thing, in as much as that if we aren't really paying attention to ourselves, then what are we learning in this life? Oh, I see Andy just joined us. As he connects, we'll kind of just get started a little bit about those tools. But I do want to talk about time a little bit more. How much is your time worth to you? How much is it worth to other people? And that's kind of a value-based scale that can go back and forth. Our topics today are owning your day, and subsequently how to do so through a couple of these techniques behind me. Number one being hungry, angry, lonely, tired. We'll get started with that. But then secondarily, what's your night look like? A lot of us spend a lot of our days tired, dreary, pissed off, etc. And today I'm going to cover some of that so that you can be in charge of your life instead of your life being in charge of you. When we think about our days, we often get really caught up in all the shit that we have to do, and it stresses us out so much that by the time the end of the day comes, you can't shut down your body because you're so level 10 from the day. So here's the deal. My question to you is, how do you end your day? How do you end it with intentionality? So I have this steps that I've been working on for years with a couple of sleep doctors I've known and some other neurologists that I've worked with. How do we lower your body from the level 10 that we all operate at down to a 3-2-1 sleep process so that you can get some rest and actually ready for the day tomorrow versus just trudging through and being pissed off and trying to drink enough caffeine and do enough stuff so that you can't keep up because you're not healing properly. So as I was talking about before, sleep. It's our number one needed thing for emotional regulation. If you don't take care of yourself at night, how you take care of yourself during the day? So behind me, I don't know if you can read that or not, I'll put it up in the group a little later, is this 3-2-1 sleep program that I've been working on. So 3-2-1 sleep. How you take care of yourself at the end of the day will preface how you take care of yourself all day long. 3 hours before bed, no more food. Pretty simple thing to say, relatively hard to do. How many of you are eating past, 8 or 9 p.m.? Most of us. If our days are busy and we're not structured, we get home late, we're hungry, we want to help ourselves to everything in the house that we can find to eat. That's probably not the best idea, right? Because if you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired, which we're going to go over in a second, you're going to emotionally eat. So 3 hours before bed, no more food. Okay, what are you going to do with the last 3 hours? Well, 2 hours before bed, we're going to switch to no more water. 80% of our energy is spent on digestion. Well, if you're not digesting while you're sleeping, you're repairing your muscles, you're repairing your mind. That is key to living your best life. So that's why we start to limit our food, increase our water, and then that last hour, super duper important. What do we do with that last hour? No more screens. I don't know about you, but I look at screens all day. Don't we all now after this COVID fiasco, if you will, this pandemic, has gotten us all looking too much at screens. So if you shut off your screen, your mind starts to thank you. First of all, it's going to start to thank you. But then also you're going to find some time to think, which is what I move into my last 3 things of the day. So it's 3 hours before bed, nothing but water. No more food. 2 hours before bed, nothing but water. 1 hour before bed, no screens. Now, when you first do this, it's going to seem extremely insane. Your mind's going to go crazy. To get it lowered, what we're going to do, we're going to meditate, right? Meditation can be guided or unguided. It can be sitting quietly, be sitting outside, can literally be doing anything but the screens, but distraction, just being you. Headspace is a great resource for that. Calm is a great resource for that. Master Co is a great resource for that. Honestly, meditation is a very unique and individual experience. I suggest you find something that works for you. But if we'll meditate for 20 minutes, that's going to give our thoughts the presence of mind to be forward. Secondarily, let's journal for 20 minutes. All those things we're thinking about, work, school, husband, wife, kids, bills, money, it's going to seem like a lot. So what we do with our journal is we download our brain, we just write it out. It doesn't have to be even a coherent thought. A lot of us get caught up in this ability to Overanalyze. We're like, it has to be perfect. Well, no one's going to read your journal but you. I use that time to give my brain some space to breathe. Doesn't have to be anything. I had a client years and years ago. I told him to journal, and he swore he couldn't do it. So he said, "What do I write?" I said, "Just write 'I hate Jason' at the top of the page." Next week he came in and he had 41 pages written first night. Top of the page, he whips open the journal and so proudly shows me, "I hate Jason." Well, I don't think that he hated me. He just needed to give himself permission to write something down. And when he did that, it was 41 pages of the things that he thought that he didn't think about. It's amazing when we give ourselves some space what we can actually do. Now, the last 20 minutes of the day is unique in as much as that you don't really want to do anything. You just kind of want to read or chill, get into a space where your brain knows this is my routine 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm asleep. So the last 20 minutes of reading, ideally, we want it to be so you're reading, and actually, funny, I've actually started rereading this. It's on my book, or on the top of my book pack. This is an amazing book, but every night before bed, you see I'm rereading it when this far through, but you want to kind of be nodding off because we're shutting down the brain, but we want to be thinking about something that's enriching and wholesome. Don't go read a murder mystery. Don't read 50 Shades of Grey for the 7th time. Actually get out and read something new, something interesting, but no murder mysteries and nothing extremely engaging because that's not the goal of our 3-2-1 sleep pattern. So I'll go over it again. 3 hours, no food. 2 hours, nothing but water. 1 hour, no more screens. Then in reverse, 1, we're going to meditate. 2, we're going to journal. 3, we're going to read. And in this reading part, you're going to find yourself nodding off. So we're going to get you to sleep with intentionality. When we come back well rested for our days, we can actually own them and be powerful and be in charge and be by design. So this program here gets you to bed at your desired time. Now, we can talk about bedtimes a little bit now if you'd like. What I'd like to do talking about bedtimes is what time do you want to wake up? -8, -3, and then start. So I get up at 7, means I have to be in bed by 11, means I stop eating at 8, and proceed. So if you want to own your day, the morning is a good place to reap the benefits. But honestly, this will make your day so much better. I don't care what time you wake up. If you do this beforehand, you're going to be well rested and ready to kick ass for that day. It's the tool that I go over with 99.9% of my clients absolutely first. So I wanted to go over it with you guys first here today so that you can really, really be in charge of your outcome. And that's the best way to do it that I've ever found. You can do a lot of stuff in the morning. You can do a lot of stuff with nutrition. But at the same time, garbage in, garbage out. Well, if you're not feeding your sleep, you're not feeding your brain. If you're not feeding your brain, you can't live a life, right? Today's going to be kind of brief because I wanted to introduce myself and this platform to you, but also giving you this tool. And then my other favorite, see if I can get this puppy over here for you. There we go. 4 keys to immediate understanding of if what you're thinking is stinking thinking, or maybe you can fix a couple of things. Hopefully we all know what HALT means. If not, it means stop. So if you find yourself a little pissed off, a little angry, a little upset, a little happy, a little sad, a little manic, all over the place, I want you to stop and ask yourself these 4 questions. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? And am I tired? If any one of those is true, I'm going to teach you how to connect. I'm going to teach you how to eat. I'm going to teach you how to rest. We can fix all these things in 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be super duper long, but the fix is 20 minutes for each one of these. Now, ask yourself, hungry, 20 minutes. Snack. Angry, meditate. Lonely, call a friend. Tired, catnap. Right? We can fix all 3 of those things, or all 4 of those things in 20 minutes. You can actually even be like pro tip, and you can stack them. Have a snack while you call somebody before your nap and before your meditation. So we can cut it down to probably at best, 10, 11, 12 minutes max to get you in charge of your emotions. So remember, each one of these is 25%. 25% hunger, anger, lonely, and tired. some of my clients say, well, what if I'm not angry? What if I'm just whatever? And actually, that's a great segue into what we'll be covering another time. Emotional words. How many of you have 3 or 4 or 5 different words for emotions? So we use anger in this sense because anger is the number one emotion we all tend to go to, but there are so many other ones. So what if you're feeling extremely excited? Well, maybe you're hungry and you're worked up. Maybe you've activated your adrenal response because you're in fight or flight mode because if you're excited. What I do with the anger, though, is because it's our first emotion, I want to get people to go, all these other words are applicable, but we almost always go to anger as a protection, right? Because if I'm angry, I can fight, I can protect myself. Well, maybe you're really just hungry. Maybe you just need to call your son, your mother, your brother, your daughter, whoever, and connect. Most of the time, I find that people's lack of connection drives them into my office or into these Zoom rooms. And I don't think it's necessarily because they're lacking connection. They just don't have the skills to get it. So emotional regulation, getting you to a 5 so you can connect instead of trying to dominate. Getting you to a 5 so you can be in relationship versus being in judgment, right? Wouldn't that be nice to be able to approach our friends, family, and partners from a place of a 5 instead of a 10? We can be mellow and meet them in the middle. I think we would all like that. I know I would. So what we're going to do is kind of look at some of these over the course of the next, every Friday we're going to be having this call. The times are still kind of flexible. I'm thinking it's going to be at 12 or 12:30, but every Friday we're going to meet. We're going to go over tools. I'm not one of those guys who's going to sit there and tell you that my way is the best way. It works for me. It's worked for hundreds of other people across the world through other coaches I've learned from, millions of people, in fact, from other coaches I've learned from. And what I want to do is impart some of that knowledge in my own way so that I can get you out of your way and onto a life of intentionality. So tools like this, tools like 3, 2, 1 sleep, it's all going to be demonstrable tools we can use so that you don't feel like I'm your crutch. A lot of coaches, a lot of therapists, a lot of people out there are going to try and get you to see them every week for the rest of your actual life. I'm not that guy. I want you to be with me until you don't need me and then come back when you do. I want to give you tools for the road. I want to put them in your tool case, your suitcase, and get you on the road to success. I am not an enabler. I am not oftentimes not a very nice guy, but I'm an accountability expert and coach. So my job is not to be the nice guy. If you've ever played a sport, your hardest coach was probably your favorite. If you've ever seen, hell, let's look at Conor McGregor thanking Tony Robbins after he won his last fight, right? I guarantee you Tony wasn't easy on Conor. Neither were Conor's coaches. You don't get to be the best by being nice. Growth is pain and repetition is mastery. My own personal mantra. And if I'm allowed to get another tattoo, if my wife will cop to it, that's probably going to be my next tattoo. Because end of the day, if it's not painful, are you really learning something? Are you really growing? Because the friction between where you are and where you're going should be a little painful. If you expect it to be easy, I'm not sure what to tell you. Life isn't, but I can definitely tell you I'm not your coach if you want easy, because that's not what I'm here for. And that's not what I don't think you're here for either. So the growth is pain, but repetition is mastery. So if when it gets hard, you tell yourself at the uncomfortable edge of pain lies growth. And then when you repeat it, that's where the mastery comes in. So these are our 2 tools for this week, kids. We're going to cap it a little short. I think I have one question here. What's the best way to get rid of, hold on, let's see. Best way to get rid of scheduling issues. Back to this. These are not negotiable. These are hours. We all have a watch. How do you discipline yourself? Use a calendar, use a watch. There's no excuse. 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock, no matter what time zone you're in. 7 a.m. is 7 a.m., no matter what time zone you're in. So build a schedule, stick to it. In fact, next week we'll do time blocking and the Eisenhower decision matrix. So anybody want to chime in? Questions as I wrap up today? I got a couple people on.
Hey, Jason, thank you so much. So my biggest challenge has been, almost as long as I can remember, actually writing down things and sticking to them. Writing down first. Mm-hmm. When I go sit down to write things on my calendar, my brain goes completely blank.
Okay.
And I know I've got a million things to do, but it just disappears completely.
I'll give you a key I learned from Keith Cunningham. When you sit down to write and there's a blank piece of paper in front of you, just do this. You take your piece of paper and you write a bullet point on it. That in your head will create space for a thought. Now, notice there's nothing else on the sheet but the bullet point. He sometimes will write a think time question at the top with the bullet point underneath it. But what you're describing is you have just a plethora of data and a very, very little pipeline for it to get out. What I suggest when that's the case is don't worry about what you're getting out. Just get out something. I don't care if it's the cat needs food and the windows are dirty. But once you start to clear out the clutter, the gold will come out. Because what you've got is, and I wish I had my jar here, but if you have an empty jar and you place pebbles in it and then you place rocks in it, you never ever get as many rocks in, right? You're focusing too much on the rocks. I would suggest you get the pebbles out of the way. So let's talk about the BS that's the pebbles. I would suggest, and I don't do this very often, lowering your standards about what you write down. Don't be so harsh on yourself that you can't produce for yourself. We often get caught up so much in the how. Like, how am I going to do this? How can I be successful? If we could just sit and be. Don't be productive. Don't be making money. Don't be a mom. Don't be a dad. Just be. Let it flow, right? Because we don't have to perform. No one's going to read it. This is for you to grow, right? So get rid of the pebbles. Put in some fertilizer. Put in some water. Put in some seed and watch yourself flourish. But we've got to clear out the rubble out of your garden before we can get some really, really good stuff in there.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to work on that today. Thank you.
Awesome. I will. I'm going to put up the feelings list in the group today. So Madhu, you'll have that. So that was my very, very first one of these that we're going to post on our group. So I want to thank everybody for coming. It really means the world to me. Keep an eye out for these every week. You'll get an email with the times, follow the Facebook group, etc. With that, I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, guys.